In the nuanced conversation of human virtues and vices, we dive into a critical discourse steeped in the profound teachings of Stoicism. Our focal point for today is the intricate balance between generosity and self-care. Our journey begins with the analysis of unrealistic expectations. Excessive generosity, though viewed as an exalted virtue, casts a shadow of unmet expectations. We give, sometimes beyond our means, imbuing each act of kindness with an unspoken hope for reciprocation. But herein lies the paradox. The Stoics taught us the value of rationality and internal equilibrium. They instructed us to temper our emotions and expectations with the cold yet liberating touch of reason. When disappointment and frustration surface, it's a signal of the imbalance within us. Stoicism isn't about the suppression of emotions, but their mastery. We embrace each emotion, analyze it, and derive wisdom from its depths. A life lived in accordance with Stoic principles is one where expectations are not born from whims, but cultivated through rationality and introspection. Our voyage into the realms of Stoic wisdom brings us to the shores of boundaries and priorities. A life devoid of boundaries is akin to a city without walls, vulnerable and chaotic. The great Stoic philosopher, Seneca, painted a vivid picture of life as a space where both personal and societal responsibilities intertwine. Every act of kindness, every generosity extended, should be measured against the yardstick of personal well-being and societal harmony. When we immerse ourselves in the needs of others, often neglecting our essence, we drift away from the Stoic path. The balance is not a luxury, but a necessity. It's an art where the self and the other coexist, not in contention, but in harmony. The silent specter of addiction lurks in the corners of excessive giving. Each act of kindness, when performed without internal scrutiny, can lead us down a path where our identity, self-worth, and essence are anchored to the external acts of giving. Marcus Aurelius, a beacon of Stoic wisdom, beckons us to a life of internal reflection. Recognition and confrontation of these addictive patterns are steps towards liberation. Each act of generosity should stem from a well of internal abundance, not a void of internal deficiency. In the world, myriad intentions oscillate. Overgenerosity often becomes a magnet for those who take without reciprocity. The Stoic, endowed with the virtue of discernment, navigates this space with wisdom. Relationships under the Stoic gaze transform into arenas of mutual growth, respect, and reciprocity. The fear of rejection is conquered through the Stoic virtue of courage. No becomes a sacred utterance, a boundary that heralds respect for the self. In this space, rejection transforms, morphing into an emblem of self-respect and rationality. The sanctuary of self-care is not a retreat into selfishness, but an ascent into self-preservation and growth. The Stoic philosophers admonish us that the neglect of the self is the neglect of virtue. In the sacred space of self, virtues are nurtured, wisdom is cultivated, and the soul, in its silent majesty, blossoms. In the intricate dance of human interactions, energy vampires lurk. They drain, extract, and diminish. Stoicism, with its lamp of rationality, illumines the path of recognition and distance. Our energy, a sacred entity, is preserved for acts of constructive and balanced generosity. In the theater of life, where genuine kindness is a rarity, excessive generosity casts shadows of suspicion. Stoicism beckons us to a path of principles and values, where the gaze of others is acknowledged but not internalized. In the embrace of Stoic philosophy, a balanced approach to generosity emerges as a profound narrative. It is a narrative adorned with self-awareness, boundaries, and self-discipline. It's a dance between the internal and external, self and others. In the final analysis, we are guided by the enduring wisdom of Stoicism, which does not oscillate with the whims of societal norms, but stands as a bastion of reason, virtue, and equilibrium. In this space, the self and others are not adversaries, but companions in the profound journey of life. We are called not just to the act of living, but to the art of living, a living that's adorned with the silent yet radiant glow of wisdom, a life where each act of generosity is a conscious choice, where boundaries are sacred edicts, and where the self, in its silent majesty, is both the starting point and the final destination of all virtues. In this space, excessive generosity and self-neglect are not just acknowledged, but transformed. And in this transformation, the profound echoes of Stoic wisdom find both voice and silence, action and restraint, giving and preserving.